The sirens wailed like banshees through the crisp autumn night, slicing through the small town of Willow Creek, Iowa, where I'd sworn never to return. I slammed on the brakes of my rental truck, the tires screeching against the gravel as flames roared from the old brick orphanage windows, devouring the only home I'd ever known. God, no, I whispered, my voice cracking like the timbers inside, because in that inferno, I saw not just a building burning, but every scar from the boy I'd buried 15 years ago. My name is Alex Harper, and back then, in the summer of 2008, I was just a scrawny 12-year-old with freckles across my nose and a secret that felt like a grenade in my chest. The Willow Creek home for boys sat on the edge of town, a rambling Victorian relic with peeling white paint and a wraparound porch that creaked under the weight of too many lost dreams. It was the kind of place where cornfields stretched to the horizon, and the nearest big city, Des Moines, was a 2-hour drive that might as well have been the moon. We'd all landed there for different reasons. Dead parents, runaway folks, or just bad luck. Me? My mom OD'd on painkillers when I was 6, and my dad, well, he was a ghost even before the whiskey took him. The orphanage was run by Sister Margaret, a wiry woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that could pin you like a butterfly to a board. She believed in tough love, Bible verses at breakfast, and the idea that boys like us could be fixed with enough chores and prayer. I didn't know I was gay then. Not in words, anyway. But I knew I felt things differently. Like the way my stomach flipped when Tommy Riley, the golden boy with the tousled blonde hair and easy laugh, would sling an arm around my shoulders during kickball in the yard. Tommy was 14, 2 years ahead of me, and he was the closest thing to a brother I had. We'd sneak out to the old oak tree behind the dorms at night, whispering about escaping to California, where the beaches were endless and nobody cared who you loved. "We'll drive Route 66 in a convertible," he'd say, his breath warm against my ear. "And you'll be the one navigating, 'cause you're smart like that." I'd blush so hard I thought my face would catch fire, and I'd punch his arm to cover it, calling him a dreamer. But in those moments, under the stars that blanketed Iowa like a quilt, I felt seen, safe. It started unraveling that fall when the new kid arrived. His name was Caleb Voss, 16 and built like a linebacker, with a chip on his shoulder the size of the Mississippi. He'd been bounced from foster homes for attitude problems, and from day one, he ruled the rec room like a kingpin. Caleb had a way of sniffing out weakness, and I guess I reeked of it. Maybe it was the sketchbook I hid under my mattress, filled with drawings of boys holding hands against city skylines. Nothing explicit, just dreams of a world beyond the corn. Or maybe it was the time Tommy and I got caught wrestling in the hayloft, laughing too hard, too close. Caleb saw it all from the shadows, his smirk like a knife in the dark. The bullying began subtle. A shove in the hallway, a whisper of "fairy" when Sister Margaret wasn't looking. Then it escalated. One night, after lights out, Caleb cornered me in the bathroom, his buddies flanking him like hyenas. "Heard you like boys, Harper?" he sneered, his breath sour with stolen candy. I froze, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Shut up," I muttered, but my voice was a squeak. He laughed, low and mean, and grabbed my sketchbook from where I'd stupidly left it on the sink. Pages tore as he flipped through them, his eyes widening then narrowing. "This you? Dreaming of your little boyfriend?" The others hooted, and I lunged for it, but he held it high, ripping out a drawing of Tommy and me on that imaginary road trip. "Freak!" he spat, crumpling it into the toilet and flushing. I stood there, water swirling like my gut, tears burning but not falling. Not yet. Word spread like wildfire through dry grass. By morning, the whole dorm knew. Kids who'd shared my bunk whispered behind hands. Even the little ones, like 8-year-old Jamie with his gap-toothed grin, avoided my eyes. Sister Margaret called me to her office that afternoon, the cross on the wall looming like a judge. "Alexander," she said, her voice soft but edged with disappointment. "The good Lord made us all with trials, but this is a choice, a sin you must fight." She prayed over me then, her hands heavy on my shoulders, quoting Leviticus like it was a cure. I nodded, numb, because what else could I do? At 12, you're still small enough to believe maybe you can pray the gay away. Tommy was the only one who didn't turn. That night, he slipped into my bunk after curfew, the springs groaning under us. "Ignore 'em, Lex," he whispered, his hand finding mine under the thin blanket. "They're just scared 'cause they don't get it." His fingers laced through mine, warm and steady, and for a second, the world shrank to that touch. I wanted to tell him everything. How his smile lit me up like the 4th of July fireworks we'd watched from the roof last summer. But fear choked the words. Instead, I squeezed back, memorizing the feel of his calluses from farm chores. "Promise we'll get out?" I asked, voice muffled against his shoulder. "Cross my heart," he murmured, and I believed him. In Willow Creek, promises were all we had. But betrayal has a way of creeping in like fog off the fields. It came from the last place I expected, Tommy himself. A week later, during recess, Caleb's crew ambushed us by the fence. They dragged Tommy aside first, pounding questions like fists. "You into that queer shit too, Riley?" I heard the slaps from across the yard, the grunts, and I ran, but it was too late. When I got there, Tommy was on his knees, blood trickling from his lip, Caleb towering over him. "Tell him," Caleb snarled. "Tell him you're normal, or we'll make sure you ain't." Tommy's eyes met mine, wild, terrified, and then he broke. "It's just Alex," he gasped. "He's the fag. Not me. I swear, it's him." The words hit like a freight train, derailing everything. Caleb backed off, laughing, and the others joined in, leaving me standing there, gutted. I didn't cry in front of them. I ran to the oak tree, collapsing against its trunk as sobs racked me. Tommy found me later, the sunset painting him in oranges and pinks, his face a mask of regret. "Lex, I didn't mean." "You did." I cut him off, voice raw. "You threw me under to save yourself." He knelt, reaching for me, but I flinched. "They would have hurt you worse," he pleaded. "I couldn't let that happen." But it had. The lie spread faster than the truth ever could, painting me as the villain in my own story. Sister Margaret doubled down on counseling. Extra prayers, isolation in the quiet room, and the other boys formed a wall of silence. Even Jamie stopped waving goodnight. By spring, I was a ghost in my own life. I'd stopped drawing, stopped talking much at all. Tommy tried to bridge the gap, leaving notes under my pillow. "I'm sorry, you're my best friend." But each one twisted the knife deeper. Friendship felt like pity now, or worse, obligation. The final blow came on my 13th birthday, a nothing day marked only by a store-bought cake Sister Margaret sliced in the dining hall. Caleb gifted me a punch to the gut during cleanup, whispering, "Happy birthday, princess." I doubled over, retching into the sink, and that's when I decided survival meant escape. That summer, I started planning. I'd overheard Sister Margaret talking about emancipation at 18, but that was 5 years away, too long in purgatory. Instead, I hoarded what I could, pilfered snacks from the pantry, a few bucks from odd jobs in town, my one good jacket. Tommy caught wind somehow and cornered me in the loft. "You're leaving." His voice cracked, eyes shiny. I nodded, throat tight. "Can't stay. Not after everything." He grabbed my arm, desperate. "Take me with you. We can do Route 66 for real." For a heartbeat, I wavered, the old dream flickering like a candle. But trust was ash now. "You sold me out once," I said quietly. "I won't risk it again." He let go, deflated, and I walked away without looking back. On a humid August night, with cicadas screaming their symphony, I slipped out the back door. The gravel crunched under my sneakers as I hitched toward Des Moines, thumb out to the stars. The orphanage shrank in the rear view of passing trucks, a fading silhouette. I was free but hollowed out, like a cornstalk after harvest. Little did I know, that betrayal was just the first crack in a foundation I'd spend years rebuilding. And the fire? It would bring it all crashing back, forcing me to face the boy I'd left behind, and the man I was becoming. Hitchhiking out of Iowa felt like shedding skin, raw and exhilarating. The first ride was a grizzled trucker named Earl. who smelled of diesel and regret, chain-smoking Winstons while blasting Merle Haggard on the radio. "Runaway?" he grunted, eyeing my backpack stuffed with a sleeping bag and dreams. I lied, said I was heading to visit family in Chicago. He dropped me at a Greasy Spoon diner off I-80, where I nursed black coffee for hours, watching semis rumble by like metal beasts. That night, I curled up behind a dumpster, the chill seeping through my jacket, whispering Tommy's name into the dark like a curse or a prayer. Betrayal stung fresh, but so did the thrill of the unknown. America unspooling before me, vast and unforgiving. Des Moines was my first taste of the wild. I crashed in youth hostels and under bridges, washing up in public fountains, my reflection gaunt but determined. By day, I hustled, washing dishes at a dive bar for minimum wage and tips, enough to buy day-old bread and a bus ticket east. The city pulsed with life, neon signs flickering over dive bars where drag queens lip-synced Patsy Cline, and parks where couples kissed without shame. It was terrifying, intoxicating. One rainy afternoon, I stumbled into a community center flyer for LGBTQ plus youth support, tucked in a phone booth. My hands shook as I dialed the number, and that's how I met Marcus. He was 22, a barista with locks tied back and a smile that could melt asphalt. The group met in a basement room smelling of stale coffee and hope, folding chairs in a circle under posters of rainbow flags and Harvey Milk. "I'm Alex," I said when it was my turn, voice barely above a whisper. "Kicked out. Well, ran from an orphanage. 'Cause I'm." The word hung heavy. Marcus nodded from across the circle, his dark eyes steady. "Gay," he finished gently. "And you're safe here." That night, he walked me to the bus stop, sharing his umbrella against the downpour. "Willow Creek, huh? Sounds like a Norman Rockwell painting gone wrong." I laughed for the first time in months, the sound rusty. We exchanged numbers, his on a napkin, mine memorized, and just like that, a thread wove into my unraveling life. Chicago hit like a gale wind. I arrived with $20 and a lead from Marcus, a roommate gig in Wicker Park. The Windy City was a beast. L trains rattling overhead, Lake Michigan slapping the shore like an angry lover. My new roomie was Diego, a fiery Puerto Rican artist slinging tacos at a food truck by day and painting murals by night. "Mi casa es tu casa, mijo," he said, clapping my back. We bonded over late-night empanadas and stories of survival. His coming out at 16 in a conservative family, mine a stuttered confession over bad beer. Through him, I enrolled in community college, scraping by on Pell Grants and shifts at a bookstore. Literature became my anchor. Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass whispering of comradeship, James Baldwin's essays carving truth from pain. I started writing again, not sketches but journals. Pages of rage and longing, Tommy's face blurring into every entry. But love, that came crashing in sophomore year, uninvited and electric. His name was Liam O'Connor, an Irish import studying architecture at the U of C. We met at a poetry slam in Boys Town, where rainbow crosswalks glittered under street lamps and the air thrummed with bass from nearby clubs. I was reading a piece about the oak tree, voice trembling as I described hands clasped in secret. The crowd snapped instead of clapped. Chicago's way. And when I stepped off stage, Liam was there, green eyes like shamrocks, clapping slow and deliberate. "That was raw," he said, accent rolling like waves. "Like you ripped your heart out and handed it over." We talked till closing, about Dublin pubs and Iowa fields, and by dawn, we were kissing on his fire escape, the city sprawling below like a promise. Liam was everything Willow Creek wasn't. Open, unapologetic. He dragged me to pride parades, where floats blasted Gloria Gaynor and men in chaps danced without a care. Our first real date was a picnic in Grant Park, skyline piercing the blue, where he confessed his own scars, coming out to Catholic parents who'd shipped him across the ocean to straighten up. "They thought distance would fix me," he laughed bitterly. "But I'm still bent, and damn if it ain't beautiful." I fell hard, the kind of love that rewires your soul. We'd hole up in his tiny apartment, bodies tangled in sheets, talking futures over instant ramen. "We'll build something," he'd murmur, tracing patterns on my chest. A life, not just survival. For the first time, I believed in happy endings. Not the fairy tale kind, but the earned ones, gritty and real. Yet shadows lingered. Nightmares woke me sweating. Caleb's sneer, Tommy's lie echoing like a gunshot. Liam noticed, pulling me close. The past is a thief, Alex. Don't let it rob you. He was right, mostly. I graduated with an associate's in social work, landed a job at a nonprofit helping at-risk youth. Ironic, considering my own baggage. Diego threw a party, piñata bursting with confetti and condoms, for the laughs. And Liam proposed a road trip. Route 66 your way. We mapped it out, convertible dreams reborn. But life had other plans. The betrayal came swift, a second echo of the first. It was junior year, Liam buried in thesis deadlines when I caught the texts. Not mine, his phone, buzzing on the charger while he showered. Miss you, babe. When's Irish boy dumping the orphan? From a number labeled J, with heart emojis. My stomach plummeted. J was Jake, Liam's ex from undergrad. A smug finance bro I'd met once at a holiday mixer. Charming on the surface, venom beneath. The messages piled up. Plans for secret meetups, Jake mocking my trailer park accent. Liam replying with apologies laced with, but he gets me. I confronted him that night, rain lashing the windows like accusations. It's nothing, Liam stammered, towel slipping. Jake's just persistent. I told him we're done. But the lies stacked like cordwood. And when I showed him the phone, his face crumpled. I was lonely, Alex. You were always working, always distant with your ghosts. It was Tommy all over. The one I trusted most, selling me out for ease. I packed that night, backpack heavier with heartbreak. I thought we were building. I choked out at the door. Liam reached, desperate. We are. This was a mistake. But trust, once shattered, cuts deep. I crashed on Diego's couch, the city lights mocking me through the blinds. Weeks blurred into therapy sessions and double shifts, numbing the ache. Pride came and went. I marched alone, rainbow flag heavy on my shoulders. By fall, I'd transferred credits to Northwestern, gunning for a bachelor's in emergency management. Something practical, heroic even, to outrun the victim in me. Years folded like origami. Liam faded to a Facebook ghost, married to Jake in a vineyard ceremony I ignored. I graduated top of my class, landed a gig with Chicago Fire Department as a coordinator training volunteers, mapping disaster responses. The work suited me. Structured chaos, saving lives when I couldn't save my own. Dates came and went, nice guys mostly but none stuck. Until Ethan. He was a paramedic, all quiet strength and hazel eyes. Met during a drill in the loop. Our first coffee turned into dinners at corner bistros. Walks along the lake where we talk about the kids we wanted to foster someday. You're a fixer, he said one night, lacing fingers under the table. But who fixes you? I smiled, evasive. Learning to, one day at a time. Willow Creek haunted the edges, though. Sister Margaret's annual newsletter arrived like clockwork. Updates on alumni, Jamie now in college, Tommy. Vanished after high school. No mention of me, the reject. I'd stare at the envelope, unopened, then burn it in the sink. The flames a tiny echo of what was coming. Little did I know, fate was revving its engine, Route 66 calling not for joyrides, but reckoning. Ethan became my anchor in the storm of Chicago's relentless rhythm. He was the guy who'd show up at 2 a.m. with greasy Lou Malnati's after a bad shift, grease spots on his uniform, laughing about the drunk who'd proposed to the ambulance. Life's too short for bad pizza, he'd say, and I'd melt into him on the couch, the TV droning some cop show we ignored. We moved in together after 6 months. A third-floor walk-up in Logan Square, walls papered with his Polaroids of us. Me asleep on his chest, him kissing my temple at the Art Institute. It wasn't fireworks like with Liam. It was steady, like the L train you could set your watch by. We'd talk futures over morning coffee, adopting maybe a dog named Scout, and for the first time Willow Creek felt like ancient history, not a fresh wound. Work swallowed me whole. As coordinator, I drilled teams on everything from floods to active shooters, my voice steady over megaphones, Protect the vulnerable first. It was cathartic, turning pain into protocol. One drill, simulating a school fire, I froze mid-briefing, the acrid smoke from pyrotechnics triggering flashes. The orphanage bathroom, Caleb's laugh. Ethan found me later in the locker room, head between knees. "Hey, hero," he murmured, rubbing my back. "Even Superman has kryptonite." I confessed bits then, the bullying, the betrayal, not all, but enough. He listened without pity, just nodded. "Makes you who you are. Stronger." That night, we made love slow and deliberate, his whispers chasing shadows. "I got you, Alex. Always." But always is a fragile word. The call came on a muggy July afternoon in 2023. My phone buzzing during a budget meeting. Unknown Iowa number. I stepped into the hall, heart inexplicably quickening. Alex Harper? A woman's voice? Clipped and familiar, Nurse Clara. The orphanage medic who'd bandaged my scrapes. "It's the home. Fire last night, electrical, they think. Kids are safe, but the structure is bad. Sister Margaret's asking for you." Me? The reject? I laughed, disbelieving. "Why? I haven't set foot there in 15 years. Pause. Heavy. "She says it's time. For closure. Or something more." Ethan drove me to O'Hare that evening, his hand tight on mine. "Go," he urged at security. "Slay those dragons." I kissed him fierce, tasting airport pretzels and promise, then boarded, the plane slicing west like a scalpel. Willow Creek hadn't changed much. Same corn silk fields, same grain elevators piercing the sky like sentinels. The cab dropped me at the smoldering husk. The orphanage half collapsed, yellow tape fluttering like cautionary flags. Fire crews milled, hoses snaking across the lawn, the air thick with charred wood and regret. Sister Margaret stood on the porch steps, older now, her gray hair a halo in the dusk light, face etched deeper but eyes still sharp. "Alexander," she said, voice cracking on the syllables. No hug, just a nod. "You came." I shrugged, hands jammed in pockets. "Heard kids were okay. That's what matters." She led me inside what remained. Dorms gutted, the rec room a skeleton of beams. "Arson, maybe," she murmured. "Trouble with locals again. They call us a drain on taxes. But these boys." Her voice trailed, and I saw it. The weight of years, the humanism she'd preached but rarely practiced. We walked the grounds, ghosts rising with each step. The oak tree stood sentinel, branches gnarled but defiant. "I was wrong," she said abruptly, stopping. "About you. About everything. Leviticus is old law. Love is the new." I blinked, the apology landing like rain on parched earth. "Why now?" She sighed. "Seeing you on the news last year, that Chicago flood response. You saved lives. Made me think of the boy I pushed away." Tears pricked. I swiped them angry. "You didn't push. You condemned." She nodded, owning it. "Forgive an old fool? Maybe." We talked till stars pricked the sky. About Jamie, now a teacher. About the new boys, faces I'd glimpse tomorrow. Hope flickered, tentative. The next day dawned crisp, crews assessing damage. I pitched in, organizing supplies from town donations, FEMA contacts from my Rolodex, a skill set honed in the Windy City. That's when I saw him. Tommy Riley, mid-30s now, leaning against a truck with a Red Cross vest, clipboard in hand. Time had sculpted him. Lines around those blue eyes, shoulders broader from whatever life he'd built. But the tousled hair remained, wind ruffled. Our gazes locked across the yard, and the world narrowed to that moment. 15 years collapsing like a house of cards. "Lex," he breathed, stepping forward. I froze, pulse thundering. "Tommy." No embrace, just air thick with unsaid. He hadn't known about the fire, not till the drive from Omaha, where he coordinated disaster relief now. "Heard your name from Clara," he said over lukewarm coffee in the temp trailer. "Figured it was you." We skirted the past at first. His life, divorced, a daughter named Riley, mine, Ethan, the job. But the oak pulled us, inevitable. Under its shade, words tumbled. "I was a coward," he started, voice rough. That day with Caleb. Panicked. Thought if I denied it, they'd leave us both alone. I laughed. Bitter. They didn't. And you left me to rot. He winced, eyes down. I tried to fix it. Wrote letters after you left. Begged Sister M to forward them. She burned them, said you needed space. Lies or truth? His face pleaded honesty. And damn if it didn't crack something in me. As days blurred, we fell into rhythm. Coordinating crews, bunking in the church hall with cots and community potlucks. Casseroles heavy with nostalgia. Tommy's presence was a low hum, stirring dust motes of what-ifs. One evening, after tucking in the displaced kids, wide-eyed faces that pierced like Jamie's once had, we sat on the church steps, fireflies dancing like errant thoughts. I loved you, you know, he said softly, not looking at me. Even then, that's why it scared me so much. The confession hung, a bridge over the chasm. I reached, tentative, our fingers brushing. I know, but love without trust? It's just pain dressed up. He nodded, tears tracking. Second chances, Lex? Ever believe in them? Ethan called nightly, his voice a lifeline. How's dragon slaying? I'd recount the rebuild, omitting Tommy's orbit. Guilt gnawed. Ethan deserved transparency. But this was excavation, unearthing bones. Then the whispers started. Vandalism notes pinned to the trailer. Sinner's den burns good. Echoing old taunts. Arson confirmed. Locals with grudges. Perhaps Caleb's kin. Stirring old hates. Tension coiled. The town fracturing along fault lines of progress and prejudice. Sister Margaret rallied a vigil. Candles flickering against the night. Voices rising in hymns of unity. I stood beside Tommy, our shoulders touching accidental on purpose, and felt the pull, redemption's gravity. But betrayal's shadow loomed again. Late one night, poring over blueprints in the trailer, Tommy's phone lit up. Unknown caller, but he silenced it quick, face paling. Ex-wife, he muttered. I didn't press yet. The fire's embers cooled, but the real blaze was building inside, forcing choices. Cling to the past or forge ahead. Willow Creek wasn't just bricks. It was the forge that shaped me, and now it demanded I hammer out the truth, or watch it all consume us anew. The investigation dragged like a plow through mud, detectives from the county sniffing around with clipboards and skepticism. Small town, one drawled, toothpick rolling in his mouth. Folks get heated over charity cases like this. Heated, code for the undercurrent of bigotry that simmered in Willow Creek's veins. Same as when Caleb's crew ruled the dorms. I coordinated with them by day, mapping escape routes for the temp housing, but nights were for ghosts. Tommy and I gravitated, inevitable as harvest moon. We'd drive the back roads in his battered Ford, windows down, Willie Nelson crooning about lost loves on the tape deck. Remember the hayloft? He'd ask, voice laced with rue. I'd nod, the memory bittersweet. Tussles turning tender, boundaries blurring before fear erected walls. Yeah, before it all went to hell. One dusk, we stopped at the old swimming hole. A quarry pond fringed with willows, water black as ink under fading light. We stripped to boxers, cannonballing in like kids, the shock chasing tension. Surfacing, gasping, he splashed me, laughter echoing off rocks. Race you to the buoy, he challenged, and we stroked out, competitive as ever. I won by a nose, treading water as he caught up, chests heaving. Our eyes locked, breaths mingling, and then his hand found my waist under the surface. Tentative, questioning. I didn't pull away. The kiss came natural, salt-laced and urgent, years dissolving in the current. We broke apart, foreheads pressed. Is this okay? He whispered. I searched his face, older, wiser, etched with the mileage of mistakes. Yeah, I breathed. But slow. We got time now. Back at the church, we kept it quiet, stolen glances over dinner lines, fingertips brushing during supply runs. Ethan sensed the shift in my calls. Shorter, evasive. Everything all right, babe? He'd press, static crackling the line. Just busy? I'd lie, guilt coiling like smoke. He was my rock, the man who'd seen my fractures and stayed. Tommy was the spark, reigniting embers I'd banked long ago. Felt like cheating fate, not flesh, dividing a heart already scarred. But Willow Creek wove its spell, the rebuild a metaphor for us. Layer by layer, mortar and memory. The kids grounded me. There was little Eli, 9 and freckled like me once, with questions that pierced. Why'd they hate the old place? Anil honest. Fear, kiddo, of what's different. But difference what makes us strong. Like you with your robot drawings. His grin lit brighter than fire trucks. And Mia, 14, tough shell cracking in group talks. I like girls. They say it's wrong. Echoes of my own whispers. Nah, I'd say voice steady. It's you. And that's enough. Sister Margaret watched, approving nods from her rocker on the porch. You're healing us all, Alexander. But cracks spiderwebbed. The vandalism escalated. Tires slashed on supply vans. Go home, queers scrawled on the gym wall. Rumors pinned it on the Voss family, Caleb's brother. Now a mechanic with a meth habit and a grudge. Tommy and I staked out one night, parked in the shadows, thermos of coffee between us. This town's poison, he muttered, scanning headlights. I squeezed his knee. Or antidote, depending on the dose. His hand covered mine, warm anchor. Then movement. A figure in a hoodie, gas can glinting, creeping toward the temp dorms. Shit, Tommy hissed, starting the engine. We peeled out, lights off, but the intruder bolted, vanishing into fields. The near miss lit a fuse. Town hall erupted next week. Farmers in flannel decrying woke nonsense. Sister Margaret countering with scripture on mercy. I spoke unscripted, voice carrying. I grew up here, different and scared. You burned my home once with words. Don't make it literal. Murmurs rippled, some nods, some scowls. Tommy stood after, his words a bridge. We're all Willow Creek. Let's build, not burn. Applause scattered, but eyes lingered on us, whispers of those two. Intimacy turned fraught. We pulled back, the kiss a secret hoarded. Betrayal struck like lightning on a clear day. It was a Thursday, rain pattering the trailer roof as I sorted files. Tommy's phone chirped. Again that unknown. Curiosity overrode, and I glanced. Texts from CV. Caleb Voss. Keep the fags in line, Riley, or we finish the job. My blood iced. Scrolling back. Months of messages. Tommy feeding intel. Rebuild delays. Weak spots. In exchange for silence on his debts. Debts? To Caleb's crew, gambling ones from his divorce spiral. He'd played informant, stalling us to buy time, all while whispering sweet nothings under the oak. Rage boiled, hot and immediate. When he walked in, mud on boots, I hurled the phone. How long, Tommy? How long have you been selling us out? Again, he staggered, color draining. Lex, it's not. Don't. I roared, voice echoing. Caleb? After everything. He sank into a chair, head in hands. Owed them from Omaha. Thought I could control it, pay off quiet. When the fire hit, I saw a chance to delay, negotiate. Delay? Kids slept yards from accelerant. You lit the match that started this. I spat. Just like before. Tears streaked his face. I love you, damn it. Was trying to protect. Us? Or yourself? The door slammed behind me. Rain soaking as I fled to the church, collapsing in a pew. Sister Margaret found me at midnight, offering tea and silence. Men are fools, she said finally. But redemption's in the trying. I wanted to believe, but trust was cinders. Ethan called at dawn, voice urgent. Flights booked. Coming to get you. Relief ward with dread. I'd poisoned the well here, too. Tommy cornered me at breakfast, eyes red-rimmed. Go to the cops. I'll confess. But fear flickered. Voss retaliation. Kids in crossfire. We argued low, the air electric with unresolved. Why can't you just leave? I demanded. Because this time, I'm fighting for you, not running. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb tracing lip, echo of the pond. I leaned in, despite everything, the kiss desperate, tasting salt. "Prove it," I whispered. He nodded, fierce. "I will." The climax brewed that night, storm clouds rolling like Avengers. Intel from a tip. Voss planned a finale. Torch the church hall at midnight. Kids inside. I rallied. Fire crews on standby. Tommy baiting with a meat text. Heart pounding. I waited in shadows, walkie crackling. Headlights pierced the downpour. Voss emerged, jerrycan swinging, 2 goons flanking. Tommy stepped out, palms up. "Last chance, Caleb. Call it off." Sneer twisted Caleb's face. Older, harder, but same venom. "Too late, traitor. You and your boy toy lit this fuse." The swing came fast, can arcing toward the door. I burst from cover, tackling Voss mid-stride, the fuel sloshing wild. Chaos erupted, shouts, fists, rain slicking holds. A goon lunged. Tommy clotheslined him, grunting. I pinned Caleb, knee and back, cuffs biting from my belt. Old FD habit. "It's over," I gasped, sirens wailing closer. He bucked, spitting, "Freak," but the word fell flat, drowned in downpour. Cops hauled them dawn. Town awakening to headlines. Local hero foils arson plot. Hero me, the boy they'd rejected. Tommy's confession sealed it. Immunity for testimony. Debts wiped in plea. We stood amid rubble next morning. Sun breaking clouds. Kids cheering as beams rose anew. "You came back," Sister Margaret said, hugging fierce, "and saved us." I nodded, throat tight. But the real save, facing the mirror, scars and all. The weeks after the takedown blurred into a haze of statements and sunlight. Voss and his crew faced charges. Arson, conspiracy. The town hall overflowing with testimonies. Not just ours but Eli's sketch of the hooded figure. Mia's quiet recount of slurs heard in the night. Willow Creek shifted. Tectonic. Bake sales for the rebuild. Farmers donating lumber with handshakes instead of scowls. Sister Margaret called it grace under fire. Her sermons now laced with stories of David and Goliath, not fire and brimstone. I stayed on, coordinating the Phoenix rise, Ethan arriving like a bomb mid-September. He folded into the chaos seamless, charming the volunteers with his dry wit, holding me through nightmares that now featured jerry cans, not crumpled sketches. "Proud of you," he'd murmur, fingers in my hair. "My Midwestern night." Tommy hovered the periphery, a penitent shadow. He'd bunked in the church basement post-confession, volunteering dawn patrols and kid crafts, his daughter Riley visiting weekends, a sprite with his eyes, braiding Mia's hair and asking endless questions about Uncle Alex's big save. We talked in fits, porch swings at twilight, words careful as new mortar. "I get it if you can't," he'd say, voice gravel. "The betrayal twice over." I'd nod, the ache dulling to bruise. Twice teaches, but people change. One evening, as leaves turned crimson, I found him at the oak, carving initials into bark. Hours, from that long-ago summer, refreshed. "Kept the faith," he said sheepishly. I traced them with smooth under thumb. "Maybe I can too." Ethan saw it all, patient but pointed. Over cider at the county fair. Carnival lights twinkling. Ferris wheel groaning. He broached. "This place, it's pulling you back." We leaned on a railing, funnel cake sugar dusting lips. The air sweet with hay and possibility. "Not back," I corrected. "Full circle." He searched my face, hazel steady. "And him? Tommy? Honesty, raw, part of the circle. But you're the center." He kissed my temple, soft. "Just promise. No secrets." "No secrets," I echoed, meaning it. We flew home together, Chicago's skyline welcoming like an old friend. But Willow Creek lingered. A bookmark, not end. Months unspooled. The orphanage reopened Thanksgiving. A ribbon cutting under crisp skies. Donors mingling with alumni. Jamie returned, suit sharp, toasting the kid who dreamed big. Tommy stood beside me, Riley on his hip, our hands brushing accidental. Ethan, visiting for the holidays, charmed Sister Margaret with tales of lake-effect snow. But his eyes tracked Tommy's orbit, tolerant yet vigilant. That night, Post-dinner, Tommy pulled me aside in the rec room. Rebuilt brighter, murals by local artists blooming walls. "I'm moving to Chicago," he announced, grin tentative. "Relief coordinator gig, your neck of woods. For Riley mostly. And proximity." Heart stuttered, fear, thrill. "Ethan knows." He nodded. Talked it out. Clean slate. Relief flooded. Trust. Fragile bloom. The romance with Tommy didn't eclipse Ethan. It layered, complex as America itself. We dated slow, coffee in Boys Town, group hangs with Diego's crew, while Ethan and I deepened, fostering our first kid come spring. A wiry 12-year-old named Jordan, all questions and quiet hurt, fresh from a group home echo of Willow Creek. Tommy became Uncle Tom. Barbecues in our yard turning epic. Ribs smoking, laughter chasing old ghosts. Betrayals? They scarred but didn't define. Humanity's in the mending, the choice to rebuild. One July 4th, for years post-fire, we gathered on the orphanage roof. Alumni, kids, Sister Margaret in her rocker. Fireworks burst over fields. Reds and golds painting faces in wonder. Ethan beside me, arms slung casual. Tommy across, Riley dozing on his lap. Eli tugged my sleeve. "You saved us, Mr. Alex." I ruffled his hair. We saved each other. Below, the oak stood sentinel, initials weathered but enduring. America stretched beyond, flawed, fierce, full of second acts. I'd been rejected for difference, but returned heroic. Not in cape but community. Love the true superpower. In the end, it's not the flames that forge us, but the hands we reach for through the smoke. And in Willow Creek's glow I found mine, plural, imperfect, profound. The boy under the oak grew up, scars silvered, heart wide as the heartland. Here's to the rejects who rise, the betrayers who repent, the loves that layer like quilts against the cold. Happy endings? Nah, just honest ones earned under endless skies.